Today's plan is to get the squash in. They're taking up a lot of room in the polytunnel. I want to get them out. They're starting to get way too big for the pots that they're in. So I'm going to make a little mound with some of my homemade compost, and I'm going to plant them into the top of the mound. They've got plenty of homemade compost to go at, and they're very hungry plants. So I shall just get them laid out, and then I'm going to go around and do a little bit of weeding. Because the weather's improved, the weeds are starting to take over. So I'm going to take the plot back. So let's waste no more time and let's get on with that. As you can see, they are lovely healthy plants. I've just kept them in this little plastic container. Been watering them regularly. But if you have a look in at the containers, you can see that they're thoroughly rooted. They're all pretty much the same. So I'm going to get them in position. There's a couple of courgettes in there, some butternut squash. There's a few more that I've planted recently that aren't quite ready to go out yet, but I'm just going to get the majority of these in today. I've managed to plant up half of the squash bed. I've got a couple of butternut squash on the corners, which I'm planning to grow all the way along. I've got my 3 courgettes there. That's the yellow courgette, green, yellow. And then I've got a baby bear, 2 butternut squash in the middle, sunburst, and a cucumber on the corner. I'll just show you what the method that I'm using. So I've put the cucumber in on this side. I'm just digging a small hole. It's only about 6 inches deep, and then I'm filling it up with my homemade compost, and then I'm just settling the plant into it. One thing I've learnt as well is if you're quite new to all this like I am, store your squashes lying down, because they've all been pretty crammed in together. They're relying on each other for support, and so I've already lost one because I stood it up and the stem was too heavy and it just bent over and snapped. So it's just a little tip: store them sideways, and then when you're transplanting them and when you're moving them, carry them by the root ball with the leaves hanging down. Don't stand them up, otherwise they'll snap. So it might just save you losing a few plants like I have. Also put in 2 rows of bolt hardy beetroot. I've just dug a trench, dropped the seeds in, roughly 4 to 6 inch spacings, just covered them over with some compost, and now the sun's come out, it's perfect. Hopefully these plants will all be away soon. So the next job is to weed the onion beds. Once I've weeded the onion beds, I'm going to move all these rocks and bricks. I don't need the bricks to hold down the membrane. I'm constantly falling over them, so I'm going to get them shifted and stacked up in a big pile. Also, the carrot box is coming on. The pre-chitted carrots that I put in, I've probably got 6 or 7, maybe 8 that have come through. But the ones that are so direct do seem to be a little bit further developed, and they're growing a little bit better. So it was a little bit of an experiment, and maybe pre-chitting the carrots isn't worth the effort. But we'll tell when we come to harvest them. I've also took the scaffold netting off the peas, and these are doing really well. These are the Oregon Sugar Snap that I planted probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then I've got a row of Calvin and Wonder. I'd left them in for a little bit too long. They were at the back of the polytunnel, sort of left on their own to fend for themselves, but now they're in, they should be away. So I've got 2 rows of peas, and I've just put some string to support the broad beans. So hopefully we should be getting a crop off them in a couple of weeks. But now let's just move on to sorting out the weeds in this bed. That's looking a lot better. What I've done is I've just gone over, hand weeded it, just put the trowel in as little as I can into the soil, just to lever the roots out. Flattened it all out a little bit with my hand and then give it a good covering of chicken manure pellets. Now I'm going to pop the cover back on and leave them to it. Last job of the day is I've put in half a row of Oregon sugar snap peas, which are a Mange 2 variety. Just hoed over the entire cage, and I've cleaned out the raspberry bed. I still need to put the other row of tiles in, but that's a job for another day. So I've got quite a lot done this morning. Morning, it's Sunday the 19th of May, and we're back down at the allotment today, and we've got a few little jobs to do. I'm going away on holiday the week after next for a week, so I've got to make sure I've got my watering system all set up. That means I want to get as many plants in the ground as I possibly can and set up the auto watering system. I'll just show you what I want to try and get done today. I've got this small section at the end of each of these beds, and it's roughly 1 metre square or 3 foot square, so that's 6 square feet of growing space that I'm not currently using. And as you can see, I'm just using it to store junk. So what I want to try and get done today is I want to extend these beds all the way to the edge, and then I'm going to move the water butt into the centre and get the timer going and get that all sorted. Some of the garlic, well, there's started to die off. I was told by Nick the gardener that when the bottom 2 or 3 leaves start to die off, it's ready to harvest, and as you can see on quite a few of them, that's the case. So I might take them out today, which will give the tomatoes a better chance. So first job is to find some wood to bridge that gap. I was going to take this off, but it was screwed from outside and it's currently buried, so I don't know if I'll be able to get to it. I'll give it a go, and if not, I'll just find another piece of wood and cut it down. I've also got this little work area here that I've put outside. I've just got the lettuces growing away because it's quite shaded, but it's a little bit rickety, so I've got some more wood as well. I'm going to see if I can strengthen it and make it a little bit more permanent. I've also got a piece of roofing you can just about see behind the potatoes that I could put on top of it, and then I can use the racking underneath for drying out onions and garlics and things like that. So if I get time today, after I've done the Polytunnel, I shall have a little bit of a go at that. That's the easy side done. It only took 10-15 minutes. We'll probably get at least 2 to 4 additional tomatoes in there. This side's going to be a little bit more tricky because I've got the staging up. So I'll just move all this rubbish out of the way and get on with that side, and then we'll move on to the next task. That's the second section completed. Just need to fill it in with some of my homemade compost. So I managed to clear out one of the sections of staging, but I can't fold it down at the moment because the shallots are in the way, which is going to mean that I'm not able to put any peppers in here unless I leave them covered over for the rest of the growing season. So I'll just see what I can do. I might be able to fold it down and not damage the shallots, but I'll give it a go and see how I get on. A little bit of a faff, but I managed to get it down. I had to undo the hinges that were holding it on, just enough room behind to slot it past the shallots, and then reattach the hinges. So now I can fill that up. I can get the first 4 peppers in, which will be great, which will free up a little bit of space. So I'm just going to get the compost and get it filled up. With these new sections of the bed, what I'm going to do is I've got some indigo cherry, which are will grow to around about 2 meters high, and I've got a bit of the paracord. Just put an extra piece of wood in just to extend that, hook it round a screw, and then you just drop the excess cord into the planting hole and then you plant the tomato around it, so the tomato will hold the cord in place, and as the tomato grows you can just wrap the cord around it and it'll support it. I've not done that with any of these because obviously this is in the way, but once they get going I'll have to put some cords up for them to climb up, and I've got some clips. But ideally this is the best method that I've found. You don't have the chance of poking canes through your roof and things like that, so I'll just get them settled in, watered in, and then I might put 2 more on this side, and then I can put peppers in front of them because the peppers won't grow nearly as tall. So I should be able to get 4 more tomatoes, sorry, 2 more tomatoes, and then I'll be able to get 4 peppers, 2 in each side in front of the tomatoes. I've set up the soaker hose just for one side of the tunnel at the moment. I don't know whether you can see, but it's just slowly trickling out. You can see the darkness. I'm just going to leave that on now. I'm going to set the timer on it so it comes on twice a day for 20 minutes. There you go, that's a perfect example. You just see it dripping down there, and that should just keep all the tomatoes happy. I've also built myself a little outdoor potting station. I've just put some of the tomatoes, a couple of the squashes, and I've got my lettuce in tubs. These are 5 garlic that I pulled out, and they just leave them there to dry now. They won't be able to get any rain on them because there's a plastic cover, a polycarbonate cover over the top. I just tie these things up a little bit. I'm just going to quickly go up to the second plot now and sort the tomatoes out. In the small greenhouse I've come up with a couple of ways. I'm going to predominantly be using a wicking system. So it's just some milk bottles with a wick which will act as a capillary, so it'll just suck the moisture up from the bottles and give it to the plants. I've also put in some old squash bottles with some holes drilled in the bottom so that I can water deep into the soil. So every day or 2 I'm going to come up and water into the soil and then just top up the milk bottles as required. I've got some more wicking that I can find out, but I've got no more milk bottles, so hopefully I'll be able to pick some up over the next couple of days. But yeah, that's going to be the watering system for in here. So probably need 3 more milk containers. That shouldn't take too long to get hold of. I did this last year and it seemed to work quite well, especially when you go away for a holiday. The bottles take less than a week to run out, so it should see the tunnel looking good. Last job of the week is to have a look how the chilies are getting on in the lean-to greenhouse at home, and they're looking fantastic. They probably look better than the ones that are in the greenhouse at the allotment. They're really healthy looking. Just give them a quick water. Got a few little buds just starting to appear. I'm sure the flowers will come soon, and then we'll be harvesting chilies. So that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I shall see you again next week. Thank you very much, and goodbye.